of Behind the Scenes today with Alish Baltar, and his Alish Tunes Up. So welcome, Alish.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Actually, I'm here because of you, because you gave me this great tip for platform we're working with. Oh, wait. I just realized I'm hearing myself in the loop on YouTube. So lesson number two. But yeah, I invited you, Alice, and thank you for accepting and being here with me because I feel you're such an inspirational person for me, and you're doing so many things that I watch from outside that I wanted to look behind the scenes, behind all the things you're doing. How you did you come to it? How you keep going? What challenges you have? What victories you have? What lessons learned you can share with us? And yeah, just like see who you are, what you do today. So that said, tell us about what is Alice Tunes Up and how did that come up?
All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk like if someone's actually getting value out of this. So if you're watching, me and Yana, we kind of go back a while. We know each other. We used to work together for the same company. What I do now is I still work for that company, which is Amazon. And what I do in there is I um, since 2020 work on large-scale events and engaging communication techniques. So what it basically means in my day job is when you have when you're a director or above and you need to organize an event for 100 plus people and you don't want people to die by PowerPoint or get completely disengaged, as it happens most of the time, you go to Alesh, which is me, and I'm going to help you prep the agenda and structure it in a way that's engaging, interactive for people, and also create some, data collection systems so it's clear whether or not the session was a success. So that's what I do as my day job, and what I do outside, Alesh Tunes Up, is a hashtag I'm using now on LinkedIn because I I am looking for synergies in my life. So what I'm trying to do is um, I like what I do at work. It is pretty much my passion. I am pretty good at it, I'd say, and I think I could share the same expertise, the same knowledge, the same experience outside with people outside Amazon. And there's not that many people outside Amazon because almost everybody on this planet works for Amazon, right? But there are some. So that's the hashtag Aleshtuns up, and that's the other hashtag leadership experience works, which is very clunky, but everything sexier was taken. So that's about it.
Yeah, I remember when we like met first time years ago, but the last thing we did together back when I was still in Amazon, that was for me the real experience of how you work and how you approach projects and people working with you. And I remember like this was this like huge event back then for me. Um, and when you stepped in and when you brought this structure, order, clear questions, who will do it? Not to be confirmed, but give me one name, one person. It was it was such a relief. And also like as I watch your work, as I watch your like how should I say philosophy of work, and how you're driven by, you mentioned data, and sometimes that is perceived like very corporate, but from you, I always get this impression that it's actually to learn and to build up and to understand, which is scary. For me, it's very scary to get feedback that is not just like, oh, I felt like this, but it's really, showing you something valuable. So thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for also sharing all your insights with everyone. And I told you earlier about the moment I remembered from one of your shows that you did that I was watching live stream, um, where You started the session saying that, oh, I almost canceled. I wish when you wrote to your guest, I wish when you wrote me that you are also going to cancel, but okay, here we are. And that moment also opened kind of my eyes to seeing you as a very authentic person and someone who is not just playing labels, you know. So that's what I would like to talk about to you today. Kind of seeing like all this great work that I watch from outside, and hopefully, and I also know other people are watching on LinkedIn what you do and engaging. But how does it feel for you? How does it look for you from behind all that we can see?
Uh, well, so you want authenticity, vulnerability. So let's go into that. First of all, it's a never-ending story, right? I'm trying to be better than I was, a year ago or 2 years ago. I don't know if I'm succeeding. The thing is, there are things that are difficult for me. For example, just hearing a praise on my name, it's just not easy for me. I'm not
Mm,
easy, or it doesn't come naturally, so I kind of start blushing. And what I do, I tend to deflect. So normally, if you told me this, I think you did tell me this, 2 years ago or so, and I did deflect. I was like, oh, that's nothing. It's really anyone can do that, and it's all okay. And what I've learned since, through work in some coaching groups and mm, some introspection, is that if I can't accept acknowledgements, that also means I can't give acknowledgements because
mm,
I feel it's cringy to me. That means I also project this cringiness to anybody else. And I really, really do want to be able to acknowledge and recognize other people. So, hell, I better learn to accept acknowledgement. So, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, that made me think of, like as I also shared with you before this call, that I was super stressed. Well, still am a bit to have this call with you because as you hardly accept praise, I'm very sensitive to criticism because my mind jumps immediately to like, David, I should have known this, or I knew, but I didn't have time, And doing this with someone who is so experienced, in my view, in doing this kind of events or these things is a bit intimidating. And I wonder, like, how do you feel when you do something new or when you go out there? Like, what are your inner, emotions about trying something that maybe you haven't tried before? Or
I personally believe, based on also what I've seen around, that the fear is the same for everybody. Like we all feel fear in different situations. And I've seen a TED talk. It's a while ago. I don't know what it was, but it was a lady on a TED talk. I don't remember her name, saying like, how do you compare things that are hard? Is it harder to, let's say, go through an abortion, or is it harder to, come out as gay to Catholic parents? And she says you can't really compare those. It's just hard.
mm,
And trying to say it's hard, the first is harder or the second is harder, it doesn't make much sense. So I don't, if someone says that there are people without fear, I don't think that's true. It's just the fear is showing up someplace else.
mm,
And the way I'm approaching it is I am still learning. I'm looking at peers who do not have fear about the same area that I do, and I'm trying to kind of step into it. And I am also trying to be grateful for the areas where I am not scared, or when I'm not really facing so much resistance. And this is one of those. Like the live streaming, I'm not doing live streaming because just because I think it's cool. I'm not doing it because it's cool. I'm doing it because it's cool. I think it's really cool, but I'm also not scared of that. It's something that comes fairly naturally. I'm more scared of the idea of writing a novel. That's like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to sit, by myself. So when I need to face something scary, I'm looking at people who are able to do that and how they are able to do that, and also I'm trying to lately recognize fear for what it is. It is just fear, right? And the master coach of the group I'm in, Adam Quiney, who is amazing, I'd say. He's saying, and he's not himself saying that. It's more people saying that. It's like reasoning with fear doesn't make sense. So trying to convince yourself that your fear is ungrounded, it's not really going to help. What helps is kind of moving the fear in the imaginary car from the driver's seat to the back seat to the kid little seat and back, and just watch it in the rearview mirror, and you are the driver's seat, and you do things while being scared, and you do them anyway. You just do them scared, and that's what I guess helps. Um, One more thing that's fairly recent. That's something I hope I should have known years and years ago, and I didn't. So the friend of mine taught me this parasympathetic system activation, this breathing technique when you kind of inhale really kind of fast and intensely, like,
Mhm.
and then you very very slowly exhale, and that helps a lot when kind of diminishing or kind of dissolving the fear, because it activates what is called the parasympathetic system, which is your non-conscious, let's say, body, and it allows you to calm down. It's much better than box breathing or other things. At least it works for me. It allowed me to do something I was scared really out of my mind when this year in Finland. The friend is Finnish, and we did this retreat in Finland, and they took axes and they chopped a huge hole in the ice, and they made us kind of dip in the icy water, and I was so scared of that, and only thanks to that I was able to do it.
Wow.
And to the wow, and then I shut up, I promise. Last thing, to the
No.
wow. There's no wow. There's always, I think everybody, however high you are or wherever you are, we are all facing fears, and we are looking up to someone and we hope we were better. So I felt inadequate because I was only able to spend, 30 seconds in the water, and everybody else was able to spend like more time there.
Mhm.
So it's natural for me to, and I think for us as humans, to judge ourselves like upwards. I was comparing myself unfavorably to the people who were able to be in the icy water longer, rather
Mhm.
than comparing myself to the people who didn't even go there.
Mhm.
And that's what makes us suffer, I guess, doing just this.
Yeah. When I'm listening to you about like the fear, and I'm thinking also about like learning, and that part of learning is also like learning from either mistakes or learning to improve yourself to go better. But if I thinking like if I don't start doing, for example, what we do now, I would never learn. I can sit and overthink, design in my head all the things, but I would never figure out how to get where I want to get. But that fear, man, it's so could be so paralyzing. At the same time, like then, as you said, watching others who do it, and I, I remember I saw you were trying LinkedIn audio event, and I only saw that it happened like quite early in the morning, and I thought, oh, Alish is experimenting, and I bet you were. But that was so good to see as well, because I feel like every time I'm trying to post something, it feels so big. It feels like, oh, the whole world will just come together and start judging me for how poorly I did it. And so what, right? Like, try, learn, and go. But also watching you, and watching how you are kind of evolving. from the pitch elevator video I saw, and I think you have it now in your profile on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, I
To
do. I still do.
it's really cool. Actually, in the elevator, perfect. Um, it feels like something changed in the way how you're, let's say, expressing yourself or how you are getting yourself out there. Because now it feels more purposeful. It feels like, oh, this is Alish with who knows how he wants to say what he wants to say, how he wants it to look. Alish tunes up every Thursday. Is it 8 p.m.?
It's 8 p.m. Central European time now. Every Thursday was the commitment to go live and then, ideally with a guest and kind of commit to the rhythm. But to your point here, we might get to that anyway. But in case we didn't, uh, I think it's important to say I don't do things by myself, or it's not like I have a team behind that. But I did try this, like posting, being more active on networks, and I tried YouTube channel, and it kind of crashed and burned, and I got bored, and I started again. So I think what we normally see is like we see the success, we see the
Mm,
successful attempt, right? You don't see the unsuccessful attempt. When you watch parkour videos on YouTube, it's the people who are able to kind of jump up the wall. You don't see the people smashing their face when trying to kind of scale one set of stairs. And so I did try to kind of do this all without support. I think 2021, then I got bored and disengaged. I realized I need someone. So now I actually have a coach. So Phil Stern, in case you're watching, Phil Stern's my
ah!
coach. He's on LinkedIn. Look him up. And I have accountability calls with him, and I basically picked him up because he used to work for Amazon. He does what I like on LinkedIn, and he's moving into the coaching space. So that kind of forces some accountability on me. But also, and that's important, we can talk it through. So he can give me pointers. I can kind of little by little build some structure into it that's helping. Like if you're just left to your own resources, it's not easy.
Yeah, that's. I'm curious, like how other people feel when they start something like this. Because actually, I was talking to Phil when behind the scenes was still written only. Um, and yeah, like thinking about asking for help or like getting feedback, I feel like I'm circulating back to this fear of, I don't know, being judged or feel of fear of failing or but then like listening to you and like saying, oh yeah, I had this commitment and then it didn't work and you're back, you're not giving up. I don't even know if it's giving up, but it feels like you're finding yourself or you're circulating towards something that makes sense for you, that works for you. And if I can say so, it shows, like from outside, it there is some shift there. So looks like working with people is a good idea.
I think it's always a good idea. It's at least it is for me, and I feel I'm in a space when I'm trying to kind of nudge people to do the same, to kind of get support, because and I think this is a stage for me as well. I shouldn't be doing that. I think I'm too forceful in that. But for me, I have this conversation with my mom, for example, and with a good friend of mine as well. Like, and she's saying, "Oh, I can do this by myself, and only if it all fails, then I'm gonna ask for help." I was like, "Well, that's what I've been doing most of my life, and it doesn't work. I mean, best case scenario, it takes you longer to get where you want to be. It's more work, it's more frustrating. So what I'm what I have in my like yearly commitment as something that worked for me in the last couple of years at least is get support early. Get someone, get a coach, get a trainer, get someone who's going to help you. It's going to be faster. I mean, quite frankly, and then again, vulnerability. I haven't exercised physically for probably since COVID. It's my physique is down the toilet, and I still saying you need to do something. But to be fair, uh, the the only two kind of longer prolonged stages in my life when I was able to consistently work out and exercise was when I had a personal trainer and I had appointment with this person and I just had to show up.
Mm,
And so for me personally, n- denying myself this type of support is just inefficient. Just doesn't work.
mm. But you mentioned also now commitment
Hmm.
and help. For me, commitment is a scary word, to be honest. And I'm curious, how does authenticity play together with this for you? Because when I think of like when I hear commitment, and I would say like, okay, so I will do this every Wednesday. I'm already scared that I won't be able to make it, and part of me feels like, how can I be authentic if I'm planning everything ahead, kind of? If I have like this structure and I'm quite like, reflecting my feelings a lot. And I worry that I don't want to fake, feeling good or feeling showy today or somehow. So, like, it's quite a blurry question, but how does it work for you? How do you perceive this, like having this commitment, or what does it even mean for you? And then how do you keep it true to yourself? What does that mean for you as well?
Hmm. Uh, I mean, before I answer, I wanna address one thing. Like there is, and it's a bummer in a way. I mean, there's always gonna be some level of role playing, right? So, I mean, uh, if you can be authentic, but there are some boundaries necessary in public space. Like right now, I guess we are aware that this is on video. People can watch it. I have bunch of trash and messy room in front of me, but I don't have it behind me because this is the persona here, and we are putting up a certain facade. So it's always going to be there, and uh, I don't think that authenticity equals like do whatever you want and express everything
Hmm.
at any given moment. And having said that, it's there are ways to stay authentic while having a structure. So to your point, this is going to be like Phil Stern commercial, So it's something we discussed with him in the sessions. He kind of helped me mm, to pay more attention to the things that are kind of obvious, but uh, work for me, I guess. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it properly. I didn't work with the what you hinted on, which I would call the creative energy. It is a strike of inspiration when you feel like you want to do things, you want to kind of do a live stream, you're cheery, you want to do it, and then there are days when you don't. And
Mm.
if you're like me, for me, like scheduling it, it kind of kills it. It's like, oh, I have to do it. It's a chore. So what I'm trying to do now with let's say with LinkedIn posts is when the inspiration strikes, I just jot down like a very high level idea. Sometimes it's not even an idea. It's just a reminder for me to go back to the idea, and then I'm able to kind of work it into something tangible. And so it could be, let's say I can give you a specific example. So
Hmm.
without going too much into detail, like I've read it's silly, but I've read recently Wikipedia entry about military swords, like cavalry swords, and I realized, oh, this was something that they perfected. The like the best sword, cavalry sword ever built was designed in 1908, which was kind of useless, right? Because who needs swords in 1908? Like World War One proved that swords, cavalry, and swords are not really the best weapon. So I said, "Oh, this is cool. I want to use this as an example for my post. Don't you dare stealing it, Jana. By the way, it's mine.
Well, it's all
It's
out there now.
anybody watching. Don't you dare. It's my post." And I was like, "Yeah." So I just jot down that I need to go back to that because even when I'm not inspired, these ideas, these connections don't come quickly. I will be able to work the idea into detail. And the detail here is we as humanity and we as individuals, we tend to perfect a technology or a way of doing something when it's already obsolete. If you're really perfect at something, if you have no fear around that, if everything is neat and tidy, what this means is you are already you are already kind of belated when it comes to adopting the new things, right? So
Mm,
if you're waiting till you're completely comfortable with something, you waited too long. And that's how I've been living my life most of the time. I've been
mm.
trying to have everything perfect and right angles, but that means you're not experimenting enough. So designing a military saber in 1908, that's a metaphor of that for me. And that's going to be a cool
Wow.
post. So I jot down things like that when I'm inspired. And when I'm inspired, I have like 5 or 6 ideas like that. I see it everywhere. And I'm sure you
Mm,
do, Anna, as well. Like you have these moments when you see it. So just
yeah.
capture it, even voice recording or anything, whatever works. I'm just jotting down like into task lists. It's very messy. And then when I want to post in a scheduled time, I kind of go back to this half-baked, tidbits of ideas, and I can pick one of them that feels the least painful at the moment.
You see, because I think what struck me now, like to the center, is this desire for perfection. It's I maybe have to say I'm proud of myself that I'm still here, even though like it's in baby steps. But I was supposed to be doing this already last year, right? Like with all these ideas I have, and like the passion and desire, but there was this huge wall of like this fear, this like, but look at others. They already are so far ahead. What will you bring? And yeah, like actually, I think like one needs a sword to like cut through. I was secretly hoping you will say it was like Barbara Conan's sword. That was perfection for me.
Well, that was at the right time. I mean, back then, whatever is this, you know, fictitious historic timeline, that's what they had. But this is different. Was one more thing I wanted to say to that with the yeah, the authenticity. I think what's important. So for me, what's authentic and what is not. So I said the
Mhm.
facade, right? So the facade would be literally the facade. That I'm not gonna have dirty underwear in the background in here, unless it's a prop and I'm making a point. So but that's part of it. The authenticity comes when you show up and you don't feel like showing up, and it feels crappy and you don't want to do that. So I don't think you have to kind of clown around like, oh, it's an amazing day, I'm so excited. I think you can say it, and I do it
Mm,
on a business calls. I am I don't lie when people kind of ask how I am, and
mm,
it's for me and Jana, we're from Czech Republic and Slovakia. So in our culture, when you say "How are you," it's not just a greeting; it's an actual question. And people tend to say, "Yeah, I'm awesome," and I don't do that. I kind of say how I am. So sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. I think that's authentic. That to kind of to recognize that and to acknowledge that, but still putting it aside and saying,
mm,
okay, I don't feel good today, but and it might show on the session. So
Mm,
my apologies if it does, but I'm here. We're gonna do it anyway, rather than pretending that everything's peachy when it isn't.
mm. Yeah, I think that that also fits for me, like this not pretending something that you're something. I mean, there is part of like fake it till you make it, but I think it doesn't really apply here in the sense that it's so relieving when when you say it out loud that, oh, actually I almost canceled, but still I was somehow courageous enough to come. But also I feel like it's also both ways, like for you that you get this relief, but also for others that they hear it because maybe they feel the same way, or maybe they just get this like guard down for a bit that, oh, look, right. Well, when I heard you that one time back then say it, it was even for me of so encouraging to hear. So yeah, this being true to yourself like that.
And yeah, I don't have the perfect answer. I'm still kind of finding a way here. It's the same now with, I mean, I still work for Amazon, so I know I can only say so much about the company. I should not go into certain topics. I'm willing to acknowledge that as the case, and I'm finding also the boundaries of what is what is acceptable and what is not. Because what
Mm,
you said, like fake it till you make it, I think it's a tough sell because this is social media, right? We're gonna judge, or everyone is gonna judge us, and we are judging other people based on very short impressions. So let's say this is gonna end up in a thumbnail, right? And based on the thumbnail, people will click on it or they will not click on that. It's a very superficial, swipe right, swipe left, whatever judgment. And you faking it in this sense means uh, you want this to look reasonably professional, right? And even if this was your first video, you want to show that you did your due diligence and you did prepare. Even someone who's starting out, and I see it on LinkedIn, all the time, and I'm no different. You wanna showcase that you're already capable of, doing the next big thing,
mm,
because that's what you want as a client, right? You don't want to give someone chances. You don't want to say like, okay, so you're the brain surgeon who never operated on anyone, so yeah, hit me. I'm gonna be your, body donor. You don't want to do that. So
mm,
the faking means like having enough, I guess, confidence or trust in your ability to do the thing, and stating it as a fact rather than as a question, asking to be validated by others.
mm. What you said about these like thumbnails or like clicking fast. I think one of the challenges for me, or like things how I think about it lately, is that yeah. Oh, I thought we lost you, but here you are. Can you still hear? Because I cannot hear you, and still cannot hear
Can you hear me
you.
now?
Yes.
Okay, I
Good.
was gonna I was gonna just do that, right? So to show, so I switched to my kind of crappier camera that I have here, and it just makes a difference. And the reason I'm doing that is, this for me would be fake it till you make it, right? You have a, if you can, you get a good equipment, you get a good setup, you are showcasing the best, the high reel of what you can do, rather than, something that's inferior. So for me, is it faking that that I have access to better camera? I don't think so. I'm just trying to kind of go on the highest standard available, and for
Hmm.
me that does make a difference. This is, by the way, what stakeholders often underestimate, how big difference this makes.
Mm.
um, anyway, but we digressed.
No,
Back
no,
to you.
that's fine. I like there is this balance, right? Like when I hear you talking about this now, it's like, of course, I want to do my best. Of course, I want to. my best possible available, but at the same time, I don't want to like kind of tip over to the side where I'm doing it so more people will click. So it looks like this obsession that I even sometimes feel like striving for watching videos on how to make perfect thumbnail. And then I'm thinking, I don't think like social media are necessarily healthiest place to be. I know it's kind of like I want to be there, but I want to contribute to it in a way where I feel it's healthy. Like I don't want to contribute into this fast competition and make my videos so also I'm a bit lazy, so that's another part. But like finding this balance between this is the content where I feel is genuine, authentic, I can learn from it, it's a valuable content like eating good food versus just scrolling through some fast food, processed food, which maybe is now even AI generated, and I don't even feel like human connection anymore. So yeah, that was kind of like my own digression there, um, but also being conscious of time. I have one last question for you because I love talking to you and I love when these
No, you tell
digressions
me. I
happen.
don't know what time you need to kick me out, to have Brad
So
Pitt
I
on
am
a
trying to
follow-up
keep
session.
it under 40 minutes, let's say maybe 30 in the future.
All right.
Um, but speaking of all the things you do and also realizing and appreciating how much work and effort it takes to, as you said, write it down, write it in a way that it makes sense, make it look good, not just, like me sometimes quickly kind of get it out. What keeps you going? Why are you doing all you do outside of work, taking time, connecting with people, sharing what you learn? Why? What keeps you going?
Well, I uh, think in general with the what you said with social media, I agree with that. I think it's a must to have some profile outside because I want to. My goal is to build some level of brand for me as an expert in this area, and that requires some work. So I want to do that. What also I think gets me going is I really like helping people in the area that I believe I can contribute. I used to work as a teacher. I just like working with people and for people, and I know upskilling sounds weird. That's kind of a very very kind of blunt technical term, but I like doing that. And if I can spend my time enabling others to achieve what they want to achieve, it's just joyful. So I like doing that, and it's selfish because that makes me feel better. It's not just for them, right? It's for me.
And if there is someone listening who is like on the edge of trying to figure out what they would like to do or how they want, like they see people around in whatever area they're in, and they're maybe on the beginning of their own journey, what would be your maybe lesson for them or lesson that you learned on your journey that you think could help no matter what the specifics of their profession or field are?
Uh, I think this answer would be different. Like every year you ask me. I think that so I'm gonna share the most recent for this universal thing. So uh, I'm reading into the GTD methodology, Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's like 20 years old now, and pretty well known. And there's one specific thing I've seen there that I didn't implement in the past. Basically, what he's suggesting, some coaches, some gurus for this question would say, okay, you need to start with big picture. Where do you want to go, and how are you going to get there? And some time management techniques are just tactical. How do I process my emails faster? And what the GTD tends to do is tells you you can start like on a low flying altitude, getting more headspace, kind of cleaning up the mess from your desk to feel less stressed, or you can go from the top, really, where do I want to go with my life? And what they say, it doesn't really matter. Start at the bottom or at the top, and but start somewhere if you can. If you have enough headspace to go with big picture, I would go with big picture. If you don't, I would start small. But there's not one way of starting. I think either end is good, and working your way either up or down. So vision and then implement, or tactical and then having some breathing space and say, okay, actually now maybe my desk is less messy. Maybe now I have 20 minutes, a day, a week when I can think about bigger things. So that was newish for me. I was always thinking you need to start big. No, you don't. Start start in a place where it's more likely for you to generate enough energy to the next action. That's what I would do now.
Well, thank you for this. It's a good advice that I'm going to apply to. And thank you, Alice, for time and sharing all your thoughts and then feelings too and experience with me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope maybe in the future we all can come together with Phil as well and have a round table
Sounds
together.
cool. We
Yeah,
should we should. I haven't seen
we
him on
should, right?
video yet, like on a session. Let's do that.
All right. Well, then see you next time around, and I'll watch you tomorrow at 8. Is it about how to present if you're an how to present like a pro if you're not an English speaker, something like that, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're doing a session with a professional speaker coach, like a native English speaker, Janice Haywood. And as you can hear, neither me nor Yana are, perfect English speakers. So she's gonna talk about that. So if you're interested, join us tomorrow. And if it is not tomorrow, if it's already a week later and you are watching the recording, you can look me up on LinkedIn or Yana on LinkedIn, and we are both, I think, eager to talk to you and see how we can make your life a little better.
All right. Thank you so much, and see you next time.